What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Awesemo NBA Strategy Show. You might think, hey, you must be running out of these things. Nope, we're running out of games to talk about, but the shows we are here with you all the way through the end of the season, which with the playoffs beginning on Saturday, that gives us a couple of months to work with. He's Josh Engleman. I'm Adam Kaufman. The play-in tournament is obviously fully underway. You've already had my beloved Boston Celtics, for better or worse, along with the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers, clinch. I was going to say compete out of clinch. Let's go with clinch. It makes way more sense. Clinch their playoff spots off of the play-in tournament, which means we now wait to find out which other two teams are going to be the 8 seeds, and we'll start to find out that process tonight, which is the one singular game that we have to talk about as well over the course of the next however long we're with you. Engleman, what's up, man?
Not too much, man. Not too much. We're getting dangerously close to real basketball, and I don't want to hear it for yesterday or the day before that. None of that stuff is real. We're waiting for the playoffs. Clear out this play-in nonsense, and let's get started on Saturday. That's what I want.
See, here's where it's not real isn't the right way to put it for me, but where it's wonky, where it's weird, where it's what are we doing here? And I'm not and I want your thoughts on this too, just on the play-in tournament in general, but where these last couple of days are odd for me, and I had a long conversation about this with somebody yesterday, is so like how is the NBA, are we classifying these games? Like what are we doing here? If I were to go to Basketball Reference and try and look up a guy's stats from the play-in tournament, where am I even finding that? Because
nowhere.
Not regular season games, which they shouldn't be, by the way, but they're not classified as playoff games either, which makes no sense. Like these are, at least in their own way, playoff games. They're play-in games, but they're playoff games in the same way that when Major League Baseball added a second wild card as a wild card play-in, they were playoff games. If we're going to screw around with the seeding and increase the level of interest and the number of teams that are realistically competing for playoff spots, then let's just embrace it. These are playoff games. Like to say like Jason Tatum as the first 50-point game ever in play-in tournament history is about the dumbest thing ever. Well, like when a guy goes into the Hall of Fame eventually, are we going to be cataloging his regular season numbers, his playoff numbers, his Olympic international numbers, and his play-in tournament numbers along with his all-star numbers? Where are we finding it all, Josh? I don't like it.
I'm expecting them to eventually just add them in as playoff stats. Van Gundy was ripping about it last night, and they were like, well, what's the plan? He's like, I just gave you the plan. They're just playoff games. Like, this is super simple. We don't have to really jump through hoops. And I agree, they should just be playoff games, or we should just get rid of the play-in tournament altogether, which would also satisfy me tremendously.
See, I'm right there with you, and I know a lot of people love what we've seen the last couple of days, when in reality you've really only had the one good game. Like you had the Lakers and Warriors, which was a thriller last night. And of course, everybody's tweeting, every analyst, every fan, like, man, hopefully the real playoffs are exciting as this one game. Yeah, it was a cool game. The day before or earlier in the night, you had 3 generally crappy games so far out of the play-in tournament. But even what we've seen these last 2 days, notwithstanding, just conceptually, the play-in tournament, I think, is so wildly unnecessary for the NBA. And I know what the league is trying to do with respect to, create more fan interest in teams that wouldn't otherwise have it late in the season, and marketing and buzz and branding and ratings, and, try and incentivize or de-incentivize, whatever the word would be, tanking, which didn't work, by the way. I mean, the bottom feeders are very much the bottom feeders, but I guess for that little middle rung, do you want to be a playoff team or a lottery team? It worked. But this, you already have, under the traditional format, which has worked for 75 years, or not that long, but however long it's worked, that we've seen 8 teams per conference go to the playoffs, and that was it, just 1 through 8, no play-in tournament, no contention for 9 and 10. You already had more than half the league making the playoffs, as you do in the National Hockey League, baseball, you could kind of see it and justify it because there were so few teams that were making it when you added in that second wild card spot. In basketball, so many teams make the playoffs as it is. Do we really this time of year need 20 out of 30 teams to be in playoff contention? I don't think so.
No, I that's the part that I like the least. If we wanted to include everybody after the regular season and like the truly worst teams just have to play a couple additional games, but everybody has an opportunity to make that final 16, I would be okay with that. The fact that we like draw a line in the sand and think like the 10th best team in a conference deserves any sort of shot at anything, but the 11th doesn't. I don't like the delineation there. You're either in or you're out to me. And I think I would rather just see everybody be in once the regular season ends, or I would like it a smaller playoffs, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Sure.
Maybe if you don't get maybe if you're not one of the 8 best teams overall, you just go home because you play 72, generally speaking, 82 games in the regular season. Let's make the regular season matter a little bit more.
Here's where it really doesn't matter too, that gets me. And this is kind of the part that I think nobody's talking about, or at least nobody was talking about going into the play-in tournament. So in the Eastern Conference, you had Celtics, Wizards, Pacers, and Hornets. All 4 teams playing for the right to get their doors blown off in round 1 by whichever teams that they faced, be it the Nets or the Sixers. Over in the West, you obviously like how cute that the Spurs and Grizzlies are playing that first game together. But ultimately, as big a deal as we want to make out of this, this thrilling, this college mentality, like winner take all game between the Lakers and Warriors, no, because now we're just waiting for the Warriors to beat up on the Grizzlies to get into the playoffs anyway. Both those teams were going to go to the playoffs. Both those teams have a realistic shot, not only that, but would probably be favored to win their respective matchups in the first round against the top 2 seeds. In fact, I could make the case for the top 3 seeds in the West to go down in the first round of the playoffs. So we're just we're manufacturing drama here.
Mm-hmm. It's not, I don't like it. I've been rallying against it from the beginning. I know why they're doing it. Money's money. You need to make a little bit back coming out of a relatively long COVID process, no fans, all that good stuff. I'm ready for the real playoffs. I think the real playoffs should be fantastic. And I just want to get into that now. So I don't care who the 8 seed is in the East. And I don't care that they're about to get absolutely smacked by Philadelphia. I don't care who the 8 seed in the West is. I assume it's the Warriors. I don't care which one of those teams win. Neither one of them is going to win their series. So I just don't care. It's not all that interesting. We're talking about teams that are playing for a 10% chance to win a series at best. I'm good.
I just don't even see how you could necessarily say like, oh, it worked. Like this worked, unless the Warriors wind up losing to the Grizzlies. Then you've had your 9 or 10 seed advance into the top 8, and then it's been successful. If chalk wins out, then what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's supposed to work here. Is it a success if anybody outside of the 7 or 8 wins? I don't know. Not to me. To me, we actually made the end of the regular season worse, not better. Like that, the Grizzlies game on the last day of the regular season, and who's the other one then? Somebody else played for like their actual playoff lives. Like those games would have happened one way or the other, and they would have had more weight, not less. Now they have less weight. I don't know. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Well, here's what we're not over. Our fine friends, our sponsor at No House Advantage, taking a different spin on daily fantasy sports by offering player prop contests across, of course, the NBA, MLB, NFL, when that's in season, PGA, so much more, all for cash prizes, folks. The exclusive peer-to-peer fantasy sports platform levels the playing field, makes it easier for you to win real cash compared with your traditional DFS sites. Now, with over 500 player prop offerings, No House Advantage is the largest provider of player props in the industry. The best part is that new users will receive a $20 match deposit bonus today with a promo code that is, of course, Awesemo. Beat your friends, not the house, and download the app in the App Store. Go ahead and win with big player props today, as you should. All right. So No House Advantage. Again, thanks for allowing us to be here. And hit that like, give us a subscription if you're watching along on YouTube. I see the hundreds here with us, and great to see the passion on the play-in tournament and elsewhere taking shape in the chat. And I'll catch up in the chat, obviously. But do us a solid, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on the Awesemo YouTube page. We do appreciate it. Engleman, Kaufman, just the one game to talk about tonight. We'll get into it. Last night, you had the Grizzlies narrowly edging the Spurs by just 4 points, 196, after what was, for a period of time, a blowout game before the Spurs made it more interesting. And as we know, the thriller where LeBron goes all Steph at the end and leads his Lakers past the Warriors 103-100. And obviously the fantasy level of interest was compelling as well. So with that, let's get into a little lineup study, Josh, and a little reflection off of last night as well. What'd you think?
Well, I'll say this much. I don't care about the other 40 people that duplicated this winning lineup. Shout out to Tom Kennedy, Tom JK, 3-2-1, picking up the dub last night. DeJounte Murray, Dylan Brooks, Rudy Gay, Draymond Green, Jakob Poeltl, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, LeBron James, and Jonas Valanciunas making up that winning lineup. So Tom chopped it down and ended up with, let's see, what did they win? $5,500 yesterday. So Tom, as far as I'm concerned, Tom is the solo winner, even though he chopped with everybody else. Everybody else is just riding his coattails.
Seeing what you guys are all doing in the chat. El Negro Loco, can I pick the DVD poll today? Boy, how do you feel about that? Can El Negro Loco take part, not only take part in enjoyment and amusement in the DVD poll, does he get to pull one? Does he get to pull yours? Do we do more than one with one game to talk about in an hour? What's the approach here?
I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'll think about it.
See if you're on your best behavior over the course of the next little while.
We'll see where we end up. Shout out to Jonas Valanciunas yesterday, by the way. 23-23. It was just absolutely dominating yesterday.
What do you go for? Just 65, almost 70 fantasy points on DraftKings?
60.75.
Oh, okay. 60.7. Just ridiculous, though. Really, really nuts. And with that, though, we like to celebrate the people, not just Tom Kennedy, obviously, but all of our Hall of Famers out there. Let's tell you a little bit about that and what went down, or what continues to go down, quite frankly, on a daily basis. You guys, you all want to make sure that you are part of it and the opportunity to be recognized by all of us right here at Awesemo with the great stuff that is available to you. So here's the deal. Again, download the Awesemo profile pic. Okay, very easy. Awesemo profile pic at awesemo.com/avatar. Tweet your wins at Awesemo Hall of Fame. That's at Awesemo HOF. Win a free month of the Awesemo Plus Platinum. And just as you're seeing on your screen, the people sending out their thanks to members of our group when they finish big. You finish within the top few spots there of a big GPP, and we get to celebrate you. It's pretty cool.
I would like to have an entry in the Hall of Fame soon. We did not have the Hall of Fame available for me when I had a Hall of Fame worthy W. However, I'll take what I can get. I'm just going to assume that I get grandfathered in, like the way that they start off some Hall of Fames, where it's just like, all right, all these guys from before are just automatically in. That's where I'm going to say that I am. So I'm just an honorary member of the Hall of Fame. It's like getting one of those degrees when you're just like a celebrity.
You're in a founding class, is what it is.
Yes,
exactly.
You get to go
in, like you said, with everyone else that would have gotten in there annually had the thing existed for however long. You just get to go in as part of that giant class. Problem is, when you go in that first class, is it special? Is it as special? Because you are lumped in, or being in that first, or would you rather kind of have the opportunity to go a little bit later on and have the spotlight more on you?
Well, I think that I'm pretty good at putting the spotlight on myself, so I think that I could take over that inaugural one. I assume whatever speech that I would give would be one of the main tent poles that they would promote in order to say, like, oh, this Hall of Fame class is also going to have Josh talking for an hour. And as best I could tell, people like to hear that happen. I don't know why. My voice sucks. Most of my opinions suck. I wouldn't want to listen to me, but it seems like people keep coming back.
Are you a big whatever the sport, I know we're here talking about basketball, but in general, are you a big Hall of Fame guy when it comes to not necessarily the debates over who should be in, who should be out, but when the ceremony rolls around, like we just had, obviously, with, the late, great Kobe Bryant going in, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, I mean, arguably the greatest class, other than maybe that first one, that grandfathered class that we've ever seen out of the association. Do you like to, sit and watch the speeches and remember a guy's career, or are you just not into that?
Literally never have done that. I watched the clip of Duncan talking about Pop, which to me was like a little bit more emotional. I didn't watch anything from the Kobe stuff. I just don't care at all. Any sport. Yeah. It's just not interesting to me. What about you?
Not even for your favorite players?
I don't really have favorite players.
See, that's if there's any problem with DFS, it might be that.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but no, like, yeah. I didn't, even guys that I would say that were my favorite players, guys like Chipper, or basically any Braves that I could name right now, because it's not like the Redskins put anybody in the Hall of Fame. They're just shitty every year. I couldn't tell you anything about when they went in, if they're in, what their speeches were like. So even when I was a big individual sports fan, I never paid attention to the Hall of Fame.
Someone in the chat, who was it, jumped on me. Dan says, we love Josh, but someone said, there it is, Steve, Josh is dead inside.
Yeah, Josh is dead inside.
Steve says, good Celtics Hall of Fame class next year with Paul Pierce, Bill Russell coaching, and Mike Gorman, the broadcaster. Absolutely. I mean, that's have a real Celtic feel to it. I do like the Hall of Fame, to answer your question. I not any sport necessarily. I'm probably more interested when it comes to basketball and, ironically, baseball, because that was my first love as a sports fan. So a lot of the guys that I grew up watching are, have been getting in the last several years, or, now we're kind of getting toward the end of, that tier at this point in time. But yeah, I mean, the guys that I just really loved playing, who, I always wanted to maybe know a little bit more about their story, or hear if they've got any personality within their speech. Those are fun. Plus they're 10 max 20 minutes. Some of them are pretty funny. I like I like it. I like the nostalgia.
Mr. D Go Blue, that's one of the dumbest things I ever said. I didn't say that I don't care about Kobe's death. These are two completely different questions. Like, what are you talking about? No, I don't like the Hall of Fame. Two very distinctly different things, but I'm not surprised that YouTube chat ruins this by participating in anything.
Point being, if obviously in a perfect world Kobe were still here and he were giving his Hall of Fame speech, you would not care to watch it.
Yeah, whether he's alive or deceased, I still don't care about it. I'm not changing my opinions because he passed. That's disingenuous to begin with. I would rather do the same thing I would have done one way or the other. I think I'd be more interested to watch like a 30-minute documentary of each guy that goes in, and instead of hearing someone give like a speech, but I probably wouldn't watch that either. I don't know. Like, I already have my thoughts and my experiences. Most people are pretty bad at public speaking. I don't really need to watch that.
Folks, if you are just joining us, if you're coming in a little late, you've missed nothing with regard to the game tonight. Just been talking about the NBA and some periphery stuff around that. But do want to remind you, if you want to go back, catch the beginning of the show, or obviously if in some inception sort of way you're catching this after the fact, and then you already know that Awesemo, not only are all the shows archived on the YouTube page for you to go back and enjoy them, we have an Awesemo podcast network obviously available. And every podcast, every show, or every sport has a podcast. So you want to go back, check these out, available on every major platform. You can head to awesemo.com/podcast, check out the very latest. And here's where you are rewarded. If you leave a 5-star review on one of our platforms with your Twitter handle or email address, you will be eligible to win a free week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. One winner will be awarded every single Friday. That is tomorrow. And reviews will be eligible to win for up to 1 year. So best of luck to you. Don't feel like it's all for naught. Again, they're kept in the file for a full calendar year. And while you're here, while you're watching along with us, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Do appreciate it. Just looking along at you guys in the chat. And yeah, it gets aggressive out there, but we appreciate at least that you're vocal here early on a Thursday. How was did you have the process earlier, or when it's one show or one game rather, is that just not a thing?
Yeah, no process today. It'll be back Monday, I would imagine. I'll do them anytime we get more than one game on a slate. Yeah, that's just there's not enough, you know.
Yeah. No, I get that. So, I mean, at least I guess you could say that you're going through the process here on the show almost right now, which is great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was happy to sleep in today. You guys have no idea how nice that felt.
What is sleeping in for you compared to the norm?
I was basically up from 6:15 on. I laid in bed for another half hour, but I usually get up at 5:15. Today I got up at, we'll call it 6:45.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare. But you go to bed early. You probably didn't even watch the Lakers Warriors last night.
I watched just into the second quarter last night, and then I went to sleep.
Yeah. Well, here's what we got ahead of us tonight. Let's start to dive into this thing, and then we.
By the way, I will be up. I will be up pretty late once the playoffs start. Like I'll be watching most of those games until their conclusion.
So will you be burning the candle at both ends, like up late and then up early to do the process, or midday naps? What's the strategy?
Midday naps are going to become a necessity. It's possible that I just start bumping the process show a little bit later in the day too. It's probably not totally necessary to go live at 6:30 a.m. for the playoffs. Excuse me.
Sure.
So we'll see where we end up there. But once it gets to playoff basketball, I'll watch that pretty much every day as much as I possibly can.
Well, I heard you're a bigwig at the company. You could probably do the process whenever you want.
Oh yeah, absolutely can.
You just tell the people this is when it's going to happen, guys. This is when I feel like getting up to do this.
Yeah, here's the real problem. What I really need to do is pitch pushing the NBA strategy show back an hour, because that's what I really need is the additional hour, because I still have to get the contenders videos out, and I like to get them up before the strategy show starts. But I can't do the contenders videos before the process, because the process is where all of the information gets into the show. So like process has to come first. I just don't want to do it that early. So it leaves me a very tight window, but with less to talk about, I can kind of get them done a little bit earlier.
Listen, I'm right there with you. I mean, I don't know that anyone in the chat or you or producer Jordan or anybody is pushing for this. But if this show were pushed back an hour, if we came at you at 11 Eastern, I mean, I could do more than one of these a week. Like that's 11's that's a great time. 10's just a little tricky for a multitude of reasons. It's like it's easy enough to get here once a week. 11, be here all the time. Let's go. So let's talk.
I don't think I'm going to be able to pull this one off.
No,
no, that one I don't think I could pull off anymore. Back in the day when I made the schedule, I would have just pulled it off on my own.
I don't think Lofty wants to go anywhere anyway. I think he enjoys doing the NBA strategy show and hanging out with you.
Oh yeah, but I think he would happily move it to. I don't think he would care if it were 10 or 11.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but now people just talking all about sleep in the chat. Well, hopefully we're not boring you while you talk about sleep and you're just admiring sleep. But again, you've got the one game tonight, and I kind of applaud us for getting halfway through the show without even mentioning it. It's the Wizards, it's the Pacers, it's in Washington. Two teams to finish below 500 during the regular season. Yay. One of them is going to the playoffs. Warriors are favored by 3.5 points as things stand right now. The over-under, not bad, just sub 240. It's 237.5 with what I'm looking at right now. And obviously from a DFS perspective, why don't we begin here with Indiana? And obviously we have a more expansive amount of time to talk about it than we normally do for the one game. Based on our own Alex Baker, Awesemo, Alex's projections, I don't know let me see, if these things are going to evolve over the course of the day, because what I'm seeing here.
If you're looking for ownership, you need to go into single game contests, not the main.
I'm looking at point projections, and are the salaries this ridiculous, or am I looking at showdown? Is my
it's salaries are going to be ridiculous because it's all showdown.
Yeah. Well, right. That's true. Good point. Sorry. Yeah. So the salaries are nuts. Obviously, there's when it comes to like returning value tonight, that's not a thing. At least with regard to your upper echelon guys, but I guess comes like Domantas Sabonis at what 16.5 I think, or 16.8 on DraftKings, 16.8, at 56 points projected. How do you feel about that? Is he just, when it comes to showdown, general strategy, forget the team by team. Showdown, when it comes to general strategy with the one game, Westbrook, Sabonis, Beal, are they all a must for you to the point where, you're going super cheap, putting one of them in captain, or getting them all in and going to a cheaper captain and finding a little bit more balance? What's your approach with that?
Yeah. So for me, it's the same as it normally is in that I'm running my sims and I'm figuring out how frequently people are in the optimal lineup in each individual spot. So I have that ready now for FanDuel and DK. Contenders videos will be posted the moment we finish off this show. I was just running a little bit later because I had to reprogram a bunch of stuff. But if I just look at it right now, and if we're talking from a DraftKings perspective, I have Sabonis as the most frequent captain. He shows up in that optimal lineup 34% of the time, which is interesting because we can actually take a look at our projected ownership for it right now. We have him optimally in the captain spot 25.7% of the time. We have Russ slightly more. I actually prefer Sabonis in the captain spot to Russ as of right now. The salary difference is pretty dramatic. We're talking about $2,200, and $2,200 is pretty essential in order to get yourself away from the truly bad guys. Like Robin Lopez is becoming mildly owned, and I don't think anybody's excited about that, but Robin Lopez is actually my 5th best play because of how low his price is. To me, there are 3 options at captain today, and this should not be all that surprising. Domantas Sabonis, Russell Westbrook, and Bradley Beal. That is the order that I prioritize them. Bradley Beal is not getting that love, just 9% ownership in the captain spot. And it's probably because people assume that he's hurt because he looks really, really hurt. However, Washington's playing for their playoff lives. I assume Beal is just going to be out there for 38 to 40 minutes. And at that point in time, I'm going to take my chances that the shot's falling and he makes it through this game. So I actually like Beal quite a bit in GPPs, given the ownership at the captain spot. But I do think that both Russ and Sabonis in the aggregate are about as owned as they should be. Although I do think Russ is slightly over-owned, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, and remember, with the Awesemo tools available to you folks, you can go into lineup builder, fantasy cruncher, look at projections, ownership, obviously points, all of that stuff available to you. I mean, I'm looking at the the projected high lineup in terms of Awesemo projections for points, and obviously Sabonis in the captain spot, and a lot of great interesting plays within that. But I mean, you could build a hundreds of different lineups that are all going to be very similar in terms of their expected output. And then just from there, it's which one do you feel best about? Someone had written in the chat, by the way, and I do want to acknowledge this because I don't blame this person for writing it. It was Mr. Go Blue. Adam clearly never plays NBA Showdown based on the way that I stumbled my way through that little intro to this game. You know what it was? You know where the hamster fell off the freaking wheel was in the because I play way too much NBA Showdown, where what happened was I'm so used to looking at classic salaries that I started seeing those giant numbers. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm not like, this can't be the right tab. Like, and then as you pointed out, well, idiot, there's one game tonight. Oh yeah. So
I don't know if I called you an idiot, but I will if you need me to.
Yeah, it felt projected upon me. I was
That's fair.
as it should have been. By the way, I'm looking at it like, what the hell is why is Russ like $20,000? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, stupid. Yeah, just the one game tonight. So yeah, Mr. Go Blue, that's the answer to your query here. A lot of people in the chat. There's a lot of love for Davis Bertans in not only to roster him, but in the captain spot. Now I know it's not what you said. You're all about the big 3, and I think most people will be all about the big 3. In fact, looking at Fantasy Cruncher for DraftKings anyway, going through that, I mean, you've got building out 100 lineups. You have Sabonis at 36% captain, Russ at 19% captain, Beal at 15% captain. So whatever that total is, 65%, somewhere in that range. Yeah. Most people are going to go with one of those 3, as you talked about. But yes. who is that kind of next tier in line? Are you following the numbers and going with a Justin Holiday, a Robin Lopez, a Daniel Gafford, not a Bertans, but guys like that, or who do you like?
So you mentioned the guy that I think that I would get to in the captain spot if I wasn't getting to one of the pay up options, but it's not Bertans to me. He doesn't He had less than a 1% chance of showing up in the optimal. Justin Holiday is fourth in our captain ownership at 5%. I have him showing up in the optimal lineup 6% at the captain spot. He would be the first guy up for me. O'Shea Brissett is my fifth best option after Holiday, but only 3% of the time. We only have him at 1.7. So O'Shea Brissett would be the guy that I'd be willing to take, like the true flyer. But he's expensive-ish, and that's sort of the problem. You need a very specific game out of him. I wouldn't really be going all that much further down the line in terms of captain spots especially in like a cash game scenario. Cash games, it's going to be either Sabonis or Westbrook almost by default. But I haven't run any crunches or anything like that yet. But Justin Holiday to me is the clear fourth best option outside of Sabonis, Westbrook, and Beal.
Tell you something with the Pacers the other night, their first play-in game, the biggest thing at this stage of the day was who the hell is going to play? We knew Karis LeVert wasn't going to, but, would Sabonis, would guys like that, Brogdon obviously wasn't going to be out there. Now, as we sit here, I think we have a little bit more knowledge, obviously, on what tonight is going to look like. But nevertheless, folks, you want to make sure that you are staying tuned in for all the important details that you're going to need to know. And you can do that very easily on Twitter if you're not watching one of our live shows or, keeping up with a personal bat line into El Negro Loco, the news god. But you can stay up to date in the latest NBA DFS news with our Awesemo NBA Twitter handle. That is at Awesemo NBA. Our guy, news god, who is in the chat, may do a DVD pull later if Josh says it is okay. He will be delivering the latest on injuries and starting lineups and minutes limits and so much more daily, for that matter, before lock, but especially today, of course, with the one game. And so you want to make sure, give Awesemo NBA, that is at Awesemo NBA, follow on Twitter, or go right to the source here, the aggregator himself, News God, and that is at news, NEWZ, God _ DFS. Be sure to catch today's deep dive article, free throughout the season as well, from our guy, Bearded Adam, Ship My Money. And it's a must read if you are playing NBA DFS tonight or any other night for that matter. So make sure you do that. See you guys in the chat. Can we discuss FanDuel Showdown? Asks Dowens 89 with a super chat. Of course we can. Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll work my way through it, I guess. We have Russell Westbrook as the most owned MVP option at 66%. Sabonis coming in at 31%. And that's about where I have these guys. I had Russ at 57. I had Sabonis just shy of 30. So Sabonis seems spot on there. We have Russ in literally every lineup on FanDuel in an ownership perspective. And I don't totally agree with that. I only had him showing up in the optimal about 77% of the time. People rostering him in the pro spot, to me, that's not really possible. To me, you can't roster him in utility either. It's going to be very hard for him to show up there given his salary. I think Sabonis in the star spot is the most underrepresented spot. We have a lot of people playing Sabonis at the pro spot and the utility spot, at least in our ownership projections. I think that is wildly wrong. I would be playing him significantly more frequently just in the star and not moving him down into that pro utility area. The guy that I like, though, the most overall relative to current ownership is Justin Holiday. He's 9,500. We only have him at 27% aggregate ownership. I have him double that. I have him in the optimal 52% of the time, 17% of the time in the pro spot, 35% in the utility. That's double or more of the ownership spots for both of those. So to me, Justin Holiday, as of right now, is probably my favorite FanDuel option, depending on how you feel about Bradley Beal's health, because we're not putting him at all in the MVP spot. His star ownership is 1/3 of what I think it should be. So if you believe that Bradley Beal can get through at least this game without the injury really being a problem, and in this spot against the Pacers, bad defense, fast matchup, I'd be willing to take my chances. Bradley Beal looks like the contrarian MVP or star option you can get to, and I will never feel bad about Bradley Beal being contrarian in those two spots.
What about cheaper guys, be it DraftKings or FanDuel, the ones that really stand out to you as building your six, and also general approach? Because some people in the chat here, I saw, where was it? Antoine says 3 Pacers, 3 Wiz. Is that the type of thing that impacts you at all, or are you just looking at numbers and ownership? And whatever it may be, or you kind of getting into narratives a little bit where you're telling yourself the story of, okay, like, who do I believe is going to be good in this game? Do I think it's going to be a blowout? Do I think it's going to be close? Or do I want more of a game stack? What's your feeling on that?
So I don't love looking. It's a mixed bag. The narrative piece of it is definitely more important in these scenarios, but to me, it's more of a salary thing than an actual game script thing. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, if I think that Bradley Beal is going to outscore Russell Westbrook today, like if I want to use Bradley Beal in the captain spot, I'm not going to also put maybe this is a better discussion for MVP or for FanDuel. Like if I have Bradley Beal in the MVP spot, I'm probably going to end up having no Russell Westbrook in that lineup. And I'm going to have Sabonis at the star, because to get Russ in that lineup as well, I'm putting him in a suboptimal spot, and I'm wasting a lot of salary for very little benefit. So I do like to think about it like that when you're already boxing yourself into expensive guys. Playing out the string after that to see who can be in the lineup is important to me. But I don't really think about it like, well, if the game stays close and blah. When push comes to shove, the optimal lineup doesn't know the teams. It just knows the salary and the points that are scored. And it doesn't care how that came about. So I don't worry too much about the narratives, but I do for the placement after the fact. And I think the Beal example is the best. If I'm going to Beal at MVP, it's probably going to end up being a lineup where I don't have Russ.
Makes sense.
Now, if you have Beal at, let's say, the star spot, I think you can still get to Russ in the MVP spot. To me, that's a little bit different. But I don't want to pay the full freight for Russ in a smaller multiple spot all that frequently. Again, I only had him show up in pro or utility 0.2% of the time. We have him owned 10%. I would rather just fully fade him in pro and utility and hope that today isn't like, I just hope that Bradley Beal and Sabonis outscore him, because if Bradley Beal and Domantas Sabonis have more raw points than Russell Westbrook today, Russell Westbrook's probably not going to be in an optimal lineup.
I just can't fathom fading Russ tonight.
Oh no, he looks great. I mean, he's clearly the best option today.
Yeah. Well, and on top of that, and someone did bring this up in the chat earlier, it's like you see Russ go ham all the way throughout the regular season to get his team, to this point or into the playoffs or whatever. And I mean, I reject some of that because, again, they were a sub 500 team that's only there because of this, play-in situation that.
Well, they would have been in anyway.
True, they would have been, but still, to look at them and say like, to will them into the playoffs, they weren't a good team. He was incredible once again, but.
He was incredible for a little.
True.
They were also really bad because he was really bad at the beginning.
Yeah, half the season he was nuts and did what he does, which is puts up triple doubles left and right. But I don't know, in what truly is, unlike the last game, and what truly is now a winner take all, playoffs or go home for this Wiz team, I don't see him coming out and laying an egg. I don't. I don't think they're going to win the first round series. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's going to be incredible tonight. I do.
I think it's a lot easier to get away from him on DraftKings than it is on FanDuel, where raw points matter significantly more. On DraftKings, you just have to say, like, Sabonis and Russ are really close to each other now that Karis LeVert is out. Sabonis is going to be doing everything in this spot. So what it all comes down to is, how well do you think Bradley Beal can play in relationship to Russell Westbrook? Because $3,200 is a lot in a single game contest. And if that's the difference between you having to roster Robin Lopez at 2,200 instead of going to, I don't know, Davis Bertans, or maybe you have enough to somehow get to like Rui or something like that. You're changing the construction, because guessing on Robin Lopez, Alex Len, and Daniel Gafford is not going to be very easy. And that extra salary is actually going to matter. By the way,
are definitely the Alex favorites for the optimal build tonight in terms of cheaper guys. It's Lopez and Len.
They came in 5th and 6th for me on DraftKings. They're a little bit less interesting on FanDuel. In particular, Robin Lopez at 8K is, I don't want to say unplayable, but he only showed up in the optimal about 6% of the time. Len is an extra $500 cheaper, so he shows up a little bit more frequently. But yeah, like getting Rolo or Alex Len correct is a very key piece. Actually, let me look at this right now. I want to see what I had. Utility. Okay, so Alex Len. When Alex Len was in an optimal lineup, he averaged, so this is in the utility spot, In all of my sims, Alex Len averaged 15.6 fantasy points when he showed up in the optimal lineup for me. So that's what you're looking. That's what you quote unquote need. And obviously that's an average. There were times where he showed up in the optimal where he scored 12, 13, stupid stuff like that. Same sort of story for Robin Lopez. On average, when he showed up in the optimal lineup, he scored 14.8 fantasy points. I have him projected for 12.8. So if you're looking for like what you need to get over just a median projection, it's not a lot on Rolo or Alex Len. You just kind of need them to play the minutes that you're expecting. It's kind of crazy how it looks like that, but that's what happens when you're 2,200 and 2,400.
Few hundred people watching with us. Hit that like button on the Awesemo YouTube page. Get to 100. We're almost there. Smash that like. Hit the subscribe button as well. Want to tell you when you guys like to be rewarded by promos, right? NBA playoffs, of course, here. At least they're coming. That means NBA showdown season. The great news, again, because idiot over here looking at salaries. NBA showdown season. The great news is that this is our NBA Express Pass. Gives you full access to all of our tools for NBA Showdown and single game, including player projections and ownership projections. We have a weekly NBA Express Pass. It's just $4.95, $4.95. That is it. When you sign up with promo code PLAYIN, that is PLAYIN, with a hyphen in between, if that matters. Play, P-L-A-Y, hyphen, in, I-N. You will get an extra week of NBA Express completely free, folks, completely free. That is 2 weeks of NBA Express for $4.95. And the pass will also give you access to lineup builder, ownership rankings, big board player values for all slates as well. This is your Awesemo Plus Pass for NBA playoff action. You do not want to miss out. The promo code PLAYIN, that's play-in at checkout today. You want to make sure you use it. The crew is always thinking here, always looking for different ways to reward the people, Josh.
We are trying to reward the people. That's the best thing. Sorry, I just got an email from my wife. So have you ever heard of it's our printer automatically orders new ink when it needs new ink? Yeah. So it's just like a subscription service.
Sure.
So my wife said, stop that subscription service. I can order my own. I got other ink because I didn't know it was coming. And I was just like, no, stop buying other ink. It'll just show up when we need it. It's connected to the internet. You don't ever have to think about it. It'll just be here. What else am I supposed to do? I took ever having to worry about having printer ink off the table, and that was too convenient, apparently.
Hey, good
wife, I hope you can hear me. I don't know where you are.
Good for you for still having a printer, though, because a lot of people, around our age, that's very much a thing of the past. They don't have printers in their homes anymore.
I don't really print anything. She prints a couple things for work from time to time. So we don't run through it all that frequently, which is another reason why, I don't ever want to have to think about it. Once it gets kind of low, it'll just show up at the house.
See, I don't know if you use I think it's HP, Hewlett Packard. Same thing. So I saw when I got a new printer a few years back, and the same thing, like it gives you all that, sign up for our ink service. And I said, great, I'll take this off my plate, because I'm terrible at monitoring my ink levels. I routinely run out, and then I got to print something, and it's crap. Now I got to go out and get printer ink. So I'll connect this to the internet and do it. But I print so infrequently that I signed up for the free one. Where it's you
get like 50 pages or something like that.
Not even. It was like 15. Like, do you print 10 or 15 pages a month? And if it's less than that, free. If it's more than that, you got to pay the whatever, like you pay by 10 pages $1 or something like that. I said, great. Well, I print so little that that's fine. So cool. Over the course of a year, if I'm paying like $12 to print stuff, at least I'm not, constantly having to get ink every 3 seconds.
That's where I'm coming from. That's where I'm coming from.
Nope. You tell your wife, since what, she can't text you and you communicate over email.
She's got a Mac. I've got a PC. So she knows that I'm more likely to see emails.
Don't attract.
She's more likely to if I had a Mac, then we would definitely be in iMessage, but I'm more likely to see like a Google Hangouts message or an email instead
of a text.
Yeah, instead of a text. I'll ignore a text.
That's good. It's good to know. I'm glad I've not started texting you.
I'm not going to grab if I got an iMessage and I could type on the computer right now, I would respond to her in that, but I'm not going to grab my phone and text while we're talking.
Yeah. So this is completely unrelated, but you're reminding me of it. So I never text through my computer ever.
Ah,
I honestly, and I have a Mac. I never do it. I don't even know how to. I think I've got it maybe, or I had tried to have it disabled because one time it was annoying me that all my like I had my phone next to my computer and I'm getting text through my computer. I don't know. I found that to be bothersome. Like that, it got on my nerves and I tried to get rid of it. And so the other day, I don't know, like 3 days ago or something like that, I very rarely text with my father-in-law. And I deliberately did so because I was trying to plan a surprise birthday thing for my wife
okay.
because her birthday is next month. And I was like,
Okay.
yeah, I was texting him about like maybe you guys could take the kids overnight and we can, do this thing here at the house. And he texted me back as he should have, but it went through my computer for some reason and popped up on my computer the like 1 day a year at the 1 second a year that my wife is using my computer. And she sees the message come through, over, surprise gone. And so now I'm that much more angry at my computer for text messages
Oh,
coming through my stupid machine in the first place.
that's
You,
really
you
irritating.
try and do something nice and it's taken away.
I'd be so pissed. That would happen to me too. I would finally plan something and it would just get ripped out from me. El Negro
Exactly.
Loco asked me
Finally
why I
planned
don't have
something
a
is the best
Mac
way
yet.
to put it too.
Do you like them? Do you like having a Mac? Have you always been a Mac guy?
I was always a PC guy, and I
Damn.
did get, and I still have a PC at work whenever I go back to work, but I got the Mac just because I found it to be like it just ran better. Like PC it got way too slow, way too fast. That
I've
like
got
this
one sitting here right now. I don't. It's just in my office.
I mean, this computer, I'm on a MacBook Pro right now, and it's as we turn this into an Apple ad, and it's been I've had it for like 6 years or something like that, and it still runs great. Like I will tell you, I don't have the damnedest idea of how to do most things on it, other than your very basic things. Like I feel like with a PC, I knew the world, I knew my way in and out. Whatever I needed to do, I could figure it out. I'm still wildly confused in the world of Mac.
I don't look. That one's 2 years old. It just sits underneath my TV.
Yeah. I mean, El Negro logo.
I'd like to use it, I guess, but I don't know. I've got two laptops sitting on top of each other. There's two desktops just in this office. I have 4 computers just in this room. And that's not even counting my phone. That's 5.
It's like having many leather-bound books. You're very important.
I guess, yeah. I like tech gear.
Igor says, to spend 10 minutes talking about Macs and wives. Boring.
I'm just happy that Igor is here because that dude is out of his mind. Whether he's real or not, I don't know. But Igor be legit crazy.
Matt says, slow day. Yeah, kind of. Now
yeah. I mean, sorry, I don't have any like real hot Chandler Hutchison takes,
Yeah, right. Let's tell you a little bit about Odd Shopper, folks. We want to make sure so text, nothing like getting your
we should take like 5 minutes of questions at the end, by the way.
What's that?
We should take like 5 minutes of questions because people are losing their minds. So
we should stay late. We should go long today.
I'm used to it at this point.
What one game, hour and a half. Let's go to Odd Shopper, folks. Let's talk a little bit about it, because one of the greatest edges in sports betting is, obviously doing the shopping and finding the odds, the best line that works for you. Betting lines, they change by the minute. Not unlike my knowledge of the Mac and Josh's, printing, can vary greatly depending on which book you're using. It's why it's important to use Awesemo's Odd Shopper to find the very best line available on the game or player prop that you are betting on, and give you that edge to help beat the house. Head on over to oddshopper.awesemo.com while we compile the very best bets available for game lines, player props, player and team futures, all updated in real time. I know Josh likes to spend his time on the point totals in particular for players, not obviously the team. So with that, Brad Beal, 31.5. What do you have, Matt?
I have him at, where the hell is that pivot table? 31.5, you said?
Yep.
I have him at 33.2, but I do think that I am probably overrating him a little bit. There's I don't have like I think that he's 5% injured column or anything. So he's playing, I put him in there the whole way.
Sabonis, 25.5 for Indiana.
So he's showing up as one of my best plays today, but I'm actually at 23.6 for today.
Interesting. All right. So 1 over, 1 under. What about Russ at 25.5 as well?
I've got him at 24.8. So we're basically spot on there.
Hachimura, bounce back, 13.5. Maybe stays out of foul trouble this time.
13.6.
Ooh, all right. Bertans. We talked about him earlier. 11.5.
11.1.
Wow. One more. Alex Len, 5.5.
5.5.
Dead on. So what does that mean when you live that close to the line, for the last few, or it just means you're going to stay away from them?
Oh yeah, I just wouldn't touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no look, if you were able to make bets where there wasn't any vig, like if they were rake free, so to speak, then you can bet those margins. But if I've got it at 11.1 and the line is 11.5, that is inside the window of not being profitable because you also have to pay the vig on the bet. So you need more than a point or so in order to bring that into being like an actual viable bet.
How about a few quick questions here from the chat related to basketball, as best I can tell so far. Michael says, Ish Smith even going to play?
Yeah, he's going to play.
Yeah, he'll be out there. Frank, Len, Lopez, Hutchinson. Any of them?
I mean, Lopez and Len are both incredibly popular so far. I actually like them more. I don't really know which one I like more. To me, they're the same sort of thing. You're just hoping for the exact same outcome. Hutchison, on the other hand, even at the flat minimum, I think that's the flat minimum. I don't know. He's $1,000 on DraftKings. Mm-hmm. He does show up in the optimal more frequently than I would have expected. I don't have him getting all that many minutes. It's not something that I like all that much, but we've got him in for 19% ownership right now. I would fade the hell out of that number.
Let's see. Frank says, time for a Manscaped commercial next. We could do that. It'd be great.
Yeah, I'll just shave my balls on this show.
I don't think anyone asked for a visual. I think we just got to, read the language.
That's fair too.
Bertans over under half a point. I'm taking the under. Do you support that?
I do not, but I do think that he is properly owned on DraftKings right now at 30%. That's pretty much exactly where I have him. On FanDuel, Bertans is picking up 25% ownership. I actually think that's a little heavy. 4% of the ownership is coming into the star spot. I would not roster Davis Bertans in the star.
Michael says, how do we feel about McDermott for utility?
So if we're saying utility, that means he's talking about FanDuel.
Flex. Yeah, well, yeah.
It's flex on DraftKings. It's utility on FanDuel. Correct. So I'm going to take that literally and assume that question is a FanDuel question. Mm-hmm. I have him in the optimal lineup on FanDuel more frequently than the ownership is showing. But the biggest gap for me is putting Doug McDermott into the pro spot, only picking up 5% ownership there. I think that should be more like 17. I think his utility ownership is proper, but if you want to take a shot in a larger field GPP on FanDuel, McDermott in the pro spot is where I would go.
E.g. easy. You probably already covered this, but how do we see LeVert's minutes being distributed today? Who takes them?
It's going to look a lot pretty similar to the last game that they played without Karis LeVert. So right. I'm thinking Justin Holiday is the first guy up to get most of it. My assumption is that Edmund Sumner does not play today. He left early from the last game with that same injury that he's had previously. So, Aaron Holiday probably gets something in that like 16 to 20 minute range. I think Justin Holiday plays about 36 minutes. And then I think Keelan Martin probably soaks up 8 to 14 minutes and is probably not relevant. But at the same time, at 4K, given the minutes that I have him at, and at 7% ownership, I would rather get to Keelan Martin over like Goga, because I think people are going to overreact to Goga's game from 2 nights ago.
Yeah, someone would ask Michael, Goga or Lopez?
Lopez, not close.
El Negro Loco, we're running out of time here. Let's give us your submission for the DVD poll. I'm going to speak for Josh. I want you to be involved here. And I'm really curious how you're going to go about doing it too, via the YouTube screen with, like, I don't even know what you're going to identify as landmarks, but I want to hear it. I'm curious. So give it to us, and then we'll, Josh will do one. You can do one. We can do it that way. Frank says, you guys rock on a slow day. Thanks. Also adds lawnmower 3,000, baby. Just don't do it on the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope. Nobody needs that. Most of all,
Come on,
me.
El Negro Loco.
I don't need to watch that. So while we wait for El Negro Loco, we'll let you do yours first as I show you Matt Stevens, a bastion of hope for all us Celtics fans. What do you got?
I thought that was Barack Obama there for a second. All right, let's go. Is that a Mark McGuire bobblehead?
Sure is. Yeah.
Okay.
God
so let's go
the steroid era instead of the no-hitter era in baseball.
Let's go to that shelf underneath McGuire. Yep. There's like an orange or red-ish DVD in the dead center or pretty close to the center. Let's go with that.
Okay.
Is that Armageddon?
No, that movie sucks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's blasphemy.
You want to have that conversation? I'll have that conversation all day. Even Ben Affleck.
I would love to.
Even Ben Affleck said that movie sucks.
I cried in the theater when I saw that. That's not a joke. And then I cried at another movie just like it, Pearl Harbor. At least that one's real.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you know that one was based on a true story too? That must have really rocked.
That Armageddon scene at the end when he pushes Bruce Willis
really
back into that
emotional
pod.
Ben Affleck movies.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm Batman.
It's just suddenly the biggest. You must be really excited about Bennifer getting back together.
Yeah, I don't care at all about that. I would like to eat animal crackers off of what's her name, Liv Tyler.
Yeah, sure. So dancing around right around the belly button. You know what, that my high school prom, I guess it would have been my high school prom. Our song, I guess, like our class song or what was that, Don't Want to Miss a Thing, the Aerosmith song from Armageddon. Gross. I think that honestly might play a role in my disdain for that movie, is that song is so freaking bad that it just irritates the hell out of me. The whole movie. And I love I love all things Bruce Willis, not that movie.
Sign me up for Bruce Willis. Our song was American Pie, but they rewrote all the lyrics to like relevant shit for us. It was terrible. I had the write-in candidate of Afro Man because I got high. That one did not get selected.
Colt 45 doesn't get enough love when talking about Afro Man. Because I Got High is overrated when it compares to Colt 45.
They wanted us to sing the song at graduation. It's just like, I'm not singing the made-up lyrics to American Pie. That song's long as shit.
You know what, though? I'm glad you brought up Because I Got High, because it's very relevant to your DVD pick, which is this. Super Troopers 2.
Ooh, incredibly underrated. It was really funny.
It's a fun movie. I mean, if you like the Austin Powers sequels, or the Hangover sequels, or what it like, if you're fine with your favorite movies going back to the well and telling a lot of the same jokes just a little bit differently, then yeah, Super Troopers 2 is incredibly enjoyable. I liked it. I mean, obviously,
sorry, it was sync time. Yeah, I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised when we watched it.
Yeah, I'm in. I was so excited when they announced they were making it too, and did all the the Kickstarter, the crowdsourcing.
Hell yeah. It was good.
Generate money for it. Do it again, baby. All right. So El Negro Locos, he's involved here. Says, all right, is that a hockey mask over on the guy?
Yeah, he's got the Jason mask on the bobblehead. All right.
So he says the hockey mask 4 in from the left. So on this shelf, I guess he means. I want to make,
has to be.
Gotta be. Yeah, I just want to see if there was anything else I'm missing in the chat. Yeah, hockey dude over your shoulder. Looks like a Bruins goalie. Now you got people talking about Armageddon, which, clearly we've wasted your time here. And hit the like. How are we not at 100 yet? Hit the like, guys.
Yeah, guys, come on. 285 people, 94 likes. Let's bump that ratio up. I think we can get close to 50-50 here. If you are here, if you're one of the 285 and you haven't hit the thumbs up, what are you waiting for? You've been sticking around the entire time.
What the hell are you doing?
Come on.
Loco, you'll be happy to know you've picked the Jean-Claude Van Damme section, which is not just this, it's this.
Oh, that's sad.
Those are all Van Damme.
You have a Jean-Claude Van Damme section, and you have the nerve to be like, Armageddon's not good. I don't even know what that movie is.
Cyborg. This is what you picked, El Negro Loco, with your very first choice overall ever.
And that's why you're not allowed to make picks, man.
and that's why you're never doing it again. We didn't even pick a good Van Damme movie, unfortunately.
Would that have been possible?
Yes, it would have been possible. Time Cop double impact.
We already
Sudden
picked Time
death.
Cop, didn't we?
What?
Wasn't Time Cop one of them that we already picked?
Might have been. It's awesome. Now you got people talking about but yeah, EMAC just here for the DVD pull.
Yeah.
I feel like I need a t-shirt just like the one that I'm wearing, but with EMAC's face. Can we make those in the Awesemo shop? What would it say at the bottom right here instead of like the Hope in Brad we
Probably
trust?
EMAC.
Yeah. It was just EMAC, and then what would the bottom line be? Like 2024 or something like that?
In Brad we trust. I don't know. I got nothing left.
EMAC
I was hoping I had a joke there, but nothing was coming to me, unfortunately.
Yeah, saw it in the theater, was in high school, went with my brother and buddy after we watched our VHS of Bloodsport to get ready for Cyborg. Bloodsport was probably more entertaining for you.
Yeah,
the pivot says
the
DVDs
good movie.
give me anxiety. You nervous about the pull? Is that what it is? What's it gonna be? El Negro Loco also needs the EMAC 2024 shirt. Who do we talk to about that? Who's in the apparel department?
Not me, man. I can't even get them to send me any of that stuff.
I know. I don't have an Awesemo hat.
I was supposed to get Awesemo gear in 2019 for Christmas.
I just want to look more like Lavi when I'm doing these shows. I just want my crisp, flat-brimmed Awesemo hat.
Nobody wants to look more like Laffy. Did you see his stupid face yesterday? Ugh.
No.
Yuck. Yuck.
His
wife told him she wouldn't sleep with him because he shaved his face. That's how ugly he is.
Wow.
He said it on the air. I'm not airing that out. I assume she was saying it in jest, but I'm going to treat it like it was absolute truth.
Yeah, you think it was jest.
I don't know. If I'm wearing a purple shirt, maybe she'll get with me.
Probably a good time for us to go.
That's what you get when there's only one game, man. I'm just going to say ridiculous nonsense.
You know what? I think this was a strong show for only one game, and a strong showing by you and everybody in the chat. Here's what we got coming up over the course of the rest of this Awesemo Thursday. Still a good amount of content coming your way. You got the NHL strategy show, which is at 1:00. That is coming up in a couple hours. Before that, MLB Live Before Lock, actually at 11:30, 25 minutes from now. That's Eastern time. Going back to the NBA, you will have Kayla and the crew for the tip-off at 4, NBA Deeper Dive at 5, MLB Live Before Lock, once again at 6. You will have NBA Live Before Lock at 7, MMA Strategy Show at 8. So, guys, I mean, not a lot of NBA action today with regard to what's going to happen on the court, but there is a ton of Awesemo NBA action coming your way over the course of this day on YouTube, the podcast network, and everywhere else. But good. Any parting thoughts, or you want to lay down on the couch and talk about what made you cry at the end of Armageddon?
Kind of, a little bit. Tune into the Deeper Dive. I'll be on there with Laffy and Adam. We're going to have some fun today. Keep your eyes peeled for updated Sims and Contenders videos will be posted within the next half hour.
All right. Engleman, Kaufman, Jordan. Just all sounds the same when you do it like that. We'll catch you next time. Good luck in the showdown tonight.
Peace.